A fierce heat radiated from a large blackened stone forge. A rhythmic clanking sent sparks of yellow and orange hissing through the air as the hulking beast of a man that was Balthar pounded at a glowing length of metal. Balthar was Reisenbow's finest metalworker, not that he had much in the way of competition. As a young man he had traveled the lands in hopes of besting the trade of forging metal. His journey had led him to the tomb of the Shadja. Within the ominous confines of the tomb he had studied under a surreptitious tribe of metalworkers, known as the Salvek. Before his ambitions sought them out, our people knew nothing of the Salvek, though we had unknowingly traded for their works many times, unaware of their origins. They were the finest metalworkers in all the land, as Balthar came to discover. They lived a reclusive existence deep within the confines of the Forbidden Tomb, trading only with the peoples of the White Hollow. Balthar had chased rumors to discover the hidden trade routes in hopes of locating the masters he sought. He had succeeded in this task, only to be shunned in his initial attempts to gain their tutelage. Eventually they granted his request for apprenticeship, but only after he demonstrated his intense desire to learn the trade, an endeavor of which Balthar never spoke. According to rumor, he had been sworn to secrecy by the Salvek. Balthar himself only laughed at such accusations. He alone knew the story of how he earned the right to whatever knowledge the Salvek had bestowed. Whatever had transpired, a heavy limp suggested he had earned his trade well enough. When he returned to the Divide, he brought with him an invaluable trade. His skill was mastery, and with it he supplied Reisenbow with all manner of tools, ornaments, and perhaps more notably, weapons. Balthar looked up from the radiant, yellow-orange length of metal, his deep, brooding eyes appearing huge through the crude goggles of stained glass that clung tight to his pudgy, round face. "Kael, my boy, what brings you to my shop? Come for Sarah, have you?" he asked in a rather squeaky voice for such a large man. His arms were bigger round than my torso, and his gut was as large as a risenberry. He lumbered toward me as he pulled the goggles back from his face and landed a warm slap on my shoulder that left me jolted, though I weathered it well enough. "Actually, sir, I've come on behalf of my father to deliver a request. He and the others need more pens like this one to repair the mill," I explained as I produced the rusted metal pen my father had given me. "Ah, I see," said Balthar, turning to look uneasily over his shoulder toward the back of the workshop. I couldn't see around him to know what it was that drew his attention, but thought nothing of it. "And, how many is he asking for?" A smirk rose within his scraggly, light-colored beard. It was patchy, scorched in places below his chin. "A dozen should do," I answered. "A dozen?" Balthar blurted with a laugh. "I suppose it should. That old rickety thing falls to pieces more and more with each passing year." He made his way over to a workbench where he bent to sort through various wooden bins stacked rather sloppily beneath. The tinkling sound of various bits of metal clanking together soon filled the shop. I should have a few like this one somewhere under here. As he sorted through the bins, I looked around the place. It was always interesting to see his various works proudly on display along the racks that lined the workshop. Along the wall that joined the shop to his hut there were several axes of various sizes and a massive hammer that I couldn't hope to lift. On the workbench adjacent to where Balthar crouched were 4 shiny new blades, resting as if on display atop a well-stained wool cloth. I ventured closer to have a look. There atop the cloth were 2 sets of twin daggers. They had been polished to a sleek finish and looked to be deadly sharp with wicked fine points. The blades seamlessly formed into wings at the handles, the regal stare of metallic eagles at the end of each. I didn't dare touch them. These fine works were undoubtedly meant for the twins. Lucky devils. A repetitive motion caught my attention from the rear corner of the shop. The awe drained from me as my eyes widened. A rather miffed-looking Sarah sat atop a wooden stool, dirty feet casually kicked up on the end of a weapon rack. She rested her weight on her left elbow, back against the outer wall of the workshop. The motion had been a knife she stood on its point with her left index finger and set to spin atop a wooden workbench with the flick of her right. She silently glared my way, though it felt more like her searing gaze shot through me. As our eyes met, she drove the knife hard into the bench. She left it there, jabbed in the wood, as she rose to her feet and marched her way by me without breaking a rather contemptuous stare. She left the shop without so much as a word. I watched her go, unable and unsure of what I should have said, if I should have said anything. I stood there with her hulking father, a man that could swing that same hammer I couldn't hope to lift. "She's been in her right mood since she came in," Balthar explained. I turned to face him. "It's my doing, sir. I apologize. I meant no disrespect," I offered most sincerely. I felt foolish again. Balthar's laugh came light and airy. "She'll get over whatever it was in her own time. No use in fretting over it, boy. Believe me, between a wife and 3 daughters, I'd have worried myself into an early grave by now. You'll never know what you did, and she'll never quite be able to explain it. Just gotta move along. Besides, she won't likely stay mad for long. Not at you, anyway. I didn't know how to respond, nor what to think on the matter. It was awkward at best. Balthar, too, seemed suddenly uncomfortable, and moved to change the subject, clearing his throat. So you like my latest work? Them's a couple of little beauties there, he said excitedly, pointing to the daggers I had been gawking over. I've had them ready for a few days now, Balthar went on. I don't usually put so much into the detail work. Makes it hard to keep the balance just right. Well, that, and I'm not much of an artist, he chuckled a bit. He knew they were splendid in design. Here, feel for yourself. He picked up one of the shiny daggers and presented it. I took the dagger in hand and instantly felt the mastery of his work. It was slightly heavier than it appeared, but well balanced and undoubtedly strong. The point looked sharp as a razor. The thought of what these could do in the hands of the twins was terrifying. Wow. The compliment came naturally as my eyes moved over the sleek surface of the blade.